and I listen to them too. There's two lonesome people in the whole wide world.
All right, baby, you gotta go away. Well, we have the white cat of good luck here at the beginning of the stream. So, for anybody who I guess hasn't checked out the blog or just maybe popped in here, welcome to Streamlands. My name is Dane.
And I'm Harrison.
And we're going to be running through the first campaign here in the Dream Eater cycle, Waking Nightmare. We have it all set up on the table in front of us. But what we want to do first, before we even get into playing, we're actually going to be drafting our decks today. Discord user Jack and Zan, please tell me if I pronounced that wrong, because it's not straightforward, and I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing it correctly. Built a module online using computer wizardry to make what's called Arkham Draft. So I'm going to pull that up here. I think that... Ooh, there it goes. So Arkham Draft is a module that was built that allows you to basically pull up an amount of cards and essentially pick from them and slowly build a deck from a selection of like 3 to 5 cards. As we're going along, we're going to be making first a Ursula deck. Ursula is going to be our seeker through the Waking World side of the Dreamlands. And Zoe Samaras is going to be our guardian.
I don't think it's showing. Oh, that's Internet Explorer.
Oh, this is Internet Explorer.
I don't know why you're using Internet Explorer.
Oh, God.
We're off to a great start. Just copy
God.
that.
The shame. The horror. The absolute madness. Okay.
I just opened up a new tab.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this in here. We're going to paste. We're going to go. We're going to check out Arkham Draft. Perfect. Okay. Can everybody on stream see?
It's going to take a second.
Yeah.
Whoa. You went incognito. Or maybe it's pulling up now. All right, cool.
Cool. Okay. So now that we have this... so what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be pulling a selection, and I'm just going to use Roland for just a really quick example. We are going to be using the taboo list from September 27th, the latest one that is. So just to keep it simple, we're just going to start a draft here just so I can show kind of what a draft entails. So you have your investigator, you pick one, and then you've got a number of cards. I like to choose 5 just because it gives a little bit more variety than 3. I think that like Hearthstone and other games will use 3, Magic you use 7, so I thought that maybe Arkham would be a good selection here at 5. But essentially you go through each of these screens here, and you'll pick a card. So for example, for Roland, you're probably going to be doing some amount of seeking and some amount of murdering monsters. So we might want to pick something like, I don't know, maybe a warning shot to keep things away, or Eureka to help investigate better.
Take the painkiller so he can go. I mean, like
so
die,
he can go
die
insane
for
way
more.
faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So we'll do that just because we're going to be trolling here. So just to kind of give an example, this list down here at the bottom will fill in as we go along. And just to make everything simpler so that we're not like kind of fumbling for like 7 years after we build these decks to get back to you guys with the actual action, Harrison's going to be building the deck while I'm calling out the cards that I'm going to be picking for the deck. And then we're going to switch around and do the same thing for his deck, for his Zoe deck. So a little bit of difference here within Zoe and Ursula regarding their deck building options. Ursula has access to 0 to 5 in Seeker and 0 to 5 in...
Relics?
No, we're not, neutral cards, but also 0 to 4 in Relic cards. So we're going to be putting all of that together. And then once we do so, we'll switch over to Zoe. Zoe having the infamous Dunwich 5, meaning that she has 5 cards from any class that she can put in. So to accommodate for the sheer number of cards that Zoe's going to be having, we're actually going to be drafting from a larger pool of cards. Generally, I would go for like 10 to 15. For the first, you can do it in stages here. So for the first 10 cards, let's say, you might go with like 15 cards. And then for the next 5 cards, you might go for 10 I'm sorry, for the next 5 cards, you might go 15 cards or 10 cards or how many ever you want, just so that you can get a little bit more selection with cards, just because there's no, I guess, algorithm as of yet for the number of deck slots into the total number of deck slots in the deck, if that makes sense. So for Zoe, she'll have a bigger selection at the beginning, being able to draft from 15 cards or 10 cards or how many ever Harrison decides, picking those initial ones. And then once the drafter knows that you've picked 5 off-class cards, it will immediately only give Guardian cards and other legal cards that she can take. But for now, let's see. Maybe if I can just do this. Perfect. Okay. So we'll be back here with Ursula. And we're going to see if I don't totally get destroyed by the drafter, by the RNG. I've drafted a few different times here with Ursula now, and sometimes it's gone all right. Sometimes I've kind of gotten a pretty standard Ursula deck happening. Sometimes I just get these weird moments. I was speaking with Jack and Zen and a couple of other friends in a chat, and I got like 11 allies at one point, and that might be a little rough. Dream Eaters is not known for being the most facilitating of the campaigns, so let's get into it. We'll be going through. I'll just kind of be thinking about or providing my thoughts on each pick here. And we'll have at it. So we're going to start with Ursula 30 card deck. Let's begin.
Okay.
All right. So we got 5 cards that we can choose from. This is a great start. So what we're looking for here, I think when you're drafting an Arkham, we want to make sure that we are picking the things that we need to be doing primarily. So Ursula's primarily a seeker. Without getting clues, our job would be impossible. So we really want to stress the importance of that. Taking like protection like knife would not be great here. Taking something like calling in favors is more of like a utility card if you end up with a lot of allies like the aforementioned 11 ally Ursula. Guidance isn't something that I've ever really been keen on. And Charles Ross, although he's probably a fantastic lawyer, is probably not going to happen here. So I'm thinking on going with Eureka. It's a good defensive card. It offers 1 in both defensive stats, as well as if I'm investigating, it'll kind of help boost me up and maintain a hand size. So even though it's not like a priority pick, we're going to go with the Eureka here. As we get more into it, you'll find that doubles will be really important. For that reason, I think that Dream Enhancing Serum isn't that great, because in a draft you can never be guaranteed to get like any amount of double cards. So it just falls really flat, and you're not really able to build a specific strategy as well in a draft. So here we're looking for singularly powerful cards, again, things that will help me do my job. So Flashlight here would serve that purpose. However, I want to be careful about my hand slots. I want to make sure that they're being filled with the right things. Flashlight, being able to use the supply to investigate action on Ursula's card ability, after you move to a location you can take and investigate action, would include that. However, another Eureka might be nice just to keep up hand size. It's kind of a fast card, so to speak, although the card draw isn't guaranteed. I've Got a Plan is a fantastic defensive card for those times where Zoe might be swarmed with a mob of spiders. It could help me hold my own. So I feel like for that reason, none of these other cards are particularly fantastic, although Flashlight is pretty good. I might be going back on my word a little bit when I said that we need to be doing the most seeking possible. I think that this card's just too good to pass up when compared to all these other ones. Even just as a one of, or maybe have 2 of them for that panic button Ursula moment, we'll be able to use. So go with the I've Had a Plan here, or I've Got a Plan here. So the next pick here, Enchanted Blade is a no. Kukri is an absolutely no. Anatomical Diagrams is definitely an interesting choice for some, but I've never seen it get good use. However, Preposterous Sketches and Unexpected Courage here. So Unexpected Courage has been a favorite of the entire Mr. Universe Radio cast. it's just a really solid card, defensively, offensively. If you're using it in like a fighter or something, it can help you pretty much everywhere. Preposterous Sketches, though, is also a pretty interesting card. Helps you refill your hand when you need it, but the restriction is a little bit rough, and the cost is a little rough here. Ideally, we'd want to pick up a little bit of economy first before we can start moving towards the draw cards. Ideally, so my favorite thing, honestly, when I've been drafting, I've been like highly prioritizing Crystallizer of Dreams because I really want Crystallizer of Dreams Zoe to happen. I love getting cards like this after Crystallizer of Dreams because it has two very relevant stats here. One defensive stat and one stat that I can just use to throw away on a intellect test here. However, I think just as a singularly powerful card that can stand on its own, do offensive and defensive things, Unexpected Courage is going to be the way I go for this one. Okay, so here. Here we've got some interesting picks. Connect the Dots is a card that I've never been particularly keen on, although like I mentioned earlier, I love Crystallizer of Dreams. I could imagine it being pretty good in that scenario. The Connect the Dots is just always a lot of money. Like I could play Dr. Milan Christopher for this cost, and it's just a really huge hurdle to get over. The two intellect icons is really nice, but for me it's just not a great option. If I already had Crystallizer and maybe a cache or some other econ, it might be a better pick here. But I think that Ursula really wants to pick something that'll help her either survive manual dexterity here or do what she needs to do. Mm-hmm. Shortcut is an absolute favorite of mine in an Ursula pick. And I think that in kind of an Ursula deck, since she's going to be wanting to move at least once every turn, this would be perfect for her. There are some turns where you're just going to go investigate. Maybe you don't get to use your action. This will actually allow you to investigate a fourth time on a turn, which is kind of uncommon that a lot of investigators can do. I think Rex can do it pretty easily, but not a lot of people. So between a manual dexterity and a shortcut, I guess not really talking about the medical text because we're not Daisy. And the fine clothes is okay, but not a lot of parlays here. If we were going to Carcosa, I might figure one. We're going to go with the shortcut here, I think.
All right.
So next pick. Okay, so here's the first relic. My most hated relic to come up in a draft, mostly because there's basically no way that you play it unless you have a huge hand and you're playing Ursula. So Moonstone's out of the question. Fine Clothes is out of the question for those same reasons. Anatomical Diagrams we already talked about. So the two new cards that are popping up here, Hyper Awareness and No Stone Unturned. So these are cards that I've never been particularly excited to put in any deck, really in general, except for maybe a No Stone Unturned in a Mandy or a Joe, because Joe can use it on top of his Hunch deck. If I have to pick here, I know that I'm going to be highly prioritizing Crystallizer of Dreams, so maybe the No Stone Unturned would work better for me. I think that it's kind of fine as a card. It can commit for a wild, which is pretty all right. Hyper Awareness is good too, though. It pairs pretty well with her her innate ability to kind of protect herself with agility and using the intellect here. I think what I'm going to do is go for the No Stone Unturned because I'm going to kind of already go for the the Crystallizer in my head. I'm hoping that I get one or two. And also it just kind of helps you build your hand and find what you need to. So for that reason, I might go with No Stone Unturned here. I could see grabbing the Hyper Awareness here, but we'll go with No Stone Unturned for now.
You got the Moonstone again.
Well, we've got some things here. We've got a Moonstone, which is a no-no. We got a Backpack. So Backpack for me, until I watched the Team Covenant run of the Forgotten Age, has never been a really big thing for me. It's just not really efficient. I've seen it played with Mandy, which is pretty cool because she can search additional cards for it. But if you don't have a certain item density, not that great. Smoking Pipe. Ursula's got 7 and 7, so unless she wants to be doing some weird illicit stuff with smoking, we're not really going to be going down that route. Mr. Rook, however, is an incredibly solid ally. Just time and time again, blown everybody out of the water. I would prefer, I think, a Milan here, just because Ursula's weakness is kind of annoying to deal with. But yeah, as Dan
Dan.
says, we windmill slam the Mr. Rook here over the connect the dots for sure.
All right.
Oh my god. So we got the crystallizer.
You got the crystallizer.
This is my favorite here. Ever since watching Team Covenant play through the Forgotten Age, I just saw like how incredibly fun the crystallizer can be. Ursula can kind of defend herself from the spooky jellyfish guy that comes out from the crystallizer. Although we got some other interesting picks here. Chthonian Stone is okay if we have no other viable picks, like if we had like 4 guidances or something like that, which would never happen. But I would consider picking this. Working a hunch though, I'm really sad not picking this up, because this is the exact card that Ursula wants to get even more leverage out of her fast actions. And it synergizes so well with Crystallizer of Dreams, especially if you're going like Archaic Glyphs Guiding Stones. You can just pop this onto a Crystallizer and then use it later for one of those big investigations. But I told you I was going to go ham on Crystallizer, so we're going to go ham on Crystallizer.
All right.
All right. So this is the wrong relic that's also Rogue. So I'm excited about that. But we've got some really good picks here. We've got to Crack the Case, which is a really good economy card for
Everyone.
pretty much everyone that can play it. It can help me. It can help Harrison in when he needs some resources from a really high shroud place. Magnifying Glass, though, this is one of those cards that just really helps you do your job better. I'm going to be looking for Hawkeyes because I'm a sucker for Hawkeyes, but Magnifying Glass will help so much with being able to just scoop up clues, especially since I'm only at an intellect 4.
I think last time I did Ursula, I had magnifying glass on top of magnifying glass.
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
just kind of like...
Yeah, there's the hilarity that ensues from that. So say your prayers. We're not really going in desperate. We have 7 sanity, so it's going to be kind of hard to reach that point. But I think so. Between Magnifying Glass, Crack the Case, I'm a little sad that I can't take the Crack the Case here because the Magnifying Glass is so good. Because Crack the Case again hooks itself onto Crystallizer of Dreams, so you can just imagine the amount of stuff that can happen if you like shortcut in a turn and then work a hunch and then Crack the Case. You just got so many cards under that for like no actions. But we're gonna go with Magnifying Glass because it will help us do our job far better than we without it.
All right.
All right, so Astounding Revelation, we do have a search card. We do have the No Stone Unturned here. I'm really happy that we picked up the Crystallizer for that reason. That makes this a little bit better in our deck.
You got Vantage Point.
Yeah, so I guess Astounding Revelation is kind of interesting. It can never be played, which means that I don't think it can go under Crystallizer of Dreams ever. Because when you search your deck, you just trigger it, or rather you discard it. You trigger the ability on it and discard it, so it actually can't go under Crystallizer. That is just one reason. Again, I guess we have Mr. Rook too. I didn't really consider that. Maybe we'll get an Astounding Revelation later on, but I'm still looking for more things that'll help me investigate. Inquiring Mind is one of those cards that is just a perfect one-of in a deck. Or if we get Guiding Stones, the Archaic Glyphs, that need us to be up a huge amount, this would double for that as well. Although I've actually been really high on Vantage Point recently. Like theorizing a deck with Crystallizer in it, Vantage Point will actually get you a 2 difference. It's kind of like a mini Magnifying Glass. For 1 resource, you play it, move a clue from a location to another location, which could potentially get you a victory, and then also subtracting the Shroud by 1, and then you could commit it off of the Crystallizer for 1. So you can kind of like do a cool little swing there. But I think for reliability, the Inquiring Mind here is going to be what goes in the deck. So we talked about most of these cards. The Prosper Sketches and Hyper Awareness are particularly interesting. Now that I have the Crystallizer, I might want to go for this. Overpower is absolutely no. And Tooth of Etzli, I already have a Crystallizer and I'm hoping to get another one. So I'm actually going to not take the Tooth here. But Shrewd is actually kind of a hilarious card in a draft because it allows you to, if you have like really, really bad picks here, you can just take it. And since the ability is a May, it kind of serves as like a mulligan of purposes. So you can kind of like, well, I don't really like any of these. I'll just take the Shrewd Analysis and be on my way. However, I do kind of like one of these cards. I do like the Preposterous Sketches here. I think it's a perfectly reasonable card. Gets extra mileage out of the Crystallizer. So we're going to be taking that on this pick. We'll save the Shrewd Analysis for later in the case that we get some super garbage and then the Shrewd Analysis saves us.
Oh.
So remember when I was talking about super garbage? Enchanted Blade, Kukri, Overpower. Ursula's combat is a 1. We're not going to be going for any of that here. That's good stuff for Zoe. Emergency Cash, though, perfectly reasonable economy card. No Stone Unturned is, again, a way to search. We might be going for a little bit more of a search-heavy Ursula here, which is not something that I've drafted before, honestly. But again, I'm kind of high on events here because of the Crystallizer appearance. I might only want 1 Stone Unturned, though.
You have one?
Yeah, so we do have one already in our list. So I might actually go with the Emergency Cash just in the case that we don't get, a Crack the Case doesn't come up again. This might be a good pick here. So remember when I said complete trash? So we don't have another Mr. Rook. So our ally slot is kind of open. This is not like ideal whatsoever. Backpack, if I had more like items that I might consider that, but Thermos is an absolute like, it's so tough to like even consider taking this in almost any deck, unless maybe like you're like Calvin or something, or you're like playing through multiple campaigns.
I could take some trauma for you if you want.
Oh God. No, not today, Thermos. I've never considered that, Dan. But Art Student, I think, is the pick here. Like, having a Painkillers might not be bad if I take too much damage, and it also commits for will, but Art Student does commit for a intellect, so it's not completely useless. If I kill off my Mr. Rook or something like that, or if he doesn't end up I don't end up finding him, I can always just kind of resort to the Art Student and then kill her off in the hospital somewhere.
Horror Sponge.
Yeah, so maybe we'll just go with this. I'm not excited about it. I'm kind of sad about it, but we'll see where this goes. I remember when I wanted good cards. I wanted good cards, but I don't want good cards all right next to each other because now we have to make a decision. Obviously, Mr. Dan here would say you absolutely windmill slam Mr. Rook. I don't doubt that is the right decision. Again, Shortcut and Working a Hunch are like super, super, super good for Ursula. Milan Christopher, All-Star Ally, Seeker Ally forever. Eventually turns into Economy. And Eureka is just kind of fine. Oh, boy. Having 3 allies already is kind of sad, because if I pick up Milan, I'm thinking on going for Milan.
Just get the charisma.
I have to like slowly, like awkwardly move into something else here if I take the Milan. Like, I have to basically spend an experience to move the Mr. Rook into being a Milan, or move the Milan into being a Mr. Rook. But I really think that we're not too... Like, we didn't take the Astounding Revelation here, so we're not, like, really excited about Mr. Rook. And Ursula's weakness, for me, is scary enough for me to, like, win... Sorry, Mr. Rook. Just between Milan, Shortcut, and Working Hunch. Shortcut and Working Hunch are, like buenissimo, but... yeah, so Dan in the chat says, Dr. Milan because we need the int boost, and I think that's absolutely correct. I'm going to be taking Milan here. Hopefully we like find him maybe after we use these guys, or, we can always just use them for their symbols here. So we'll go for Milan for that pick.
All right.
Some good cards here. No Stone Unturned again for the search thing. Also goes under Crystallizer. Deduction. All-star card. This is definitely what I'm taking. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hello Mirror, really interesting
Mirror's
Ursula
nice.
pick. If I didn't go for Crystallizer, I would take it. But it's more of kind of like a permanent card because you need to keep it around or else you don't get use out of the bonded cards. Inquiring Mind again is also a pretty strong pick, but I think that I kind of want to keep that as a one of unless it's an absolute must pick because everything else is not that great. We're going to go for Deduction.
All right.
All right, so another not great pick here. There's not a lot of options anyway, but I have actually come around to True Understanding. It's been a pretty solid card. when even just as a one of for something, things like Spires of Carcosa, or Grasping Hands, tests like that, it's pretty good for because it gives a symbol, it lends itself to pretty good use, and then you also get a clue which helps you ultimately do seeking. So I'm going to go for the True Understanding here. I think there could be a case for like the Barricade if you like wanted symbols more, but the True Understanding I think is fine as a one of.
So we're at 15 now?
Halfway there, and we've got a Milan, a Crystallizer, and a Magnifying Glass. Other than that, though, I'm happy about some of the events here. Hey, BB. The cat came back. So none of these I'm particularly high on except for Eureka, and this is one of those picks where I'm thinking maybe the Chthonian Stone, but we're holding out for better things like Magnifying Glasses, Hawkeye Folding Cameras, potentially a Fingerprint Kit. So this isn't the biggest deal here for us. We're going to be going for the Eureka. Refills our hand, helps us in a pinch with some int. So we got quite a lot of skills here. So for the purposes of practice, we've only got one deduction here, which isn't that great. But this pick very, it speaks for itself. We've already talked about these other cards here, except for Ghastly Revelation. That's kind of fine if there's no other cards because of the 2 on its side. And maybe it comes in handy when like I need to sacrifice myself for Zoe to get out. She can take all my clues and then finish. There might be a clutch scenario for that, but Logical Reasoning is far, far, far too good. 2 horror or a terror card in your threat zone, the danger zone, and also commits for 2 will. Fantastic. Also, Crystallizer, super good value from that. Well, mine is made up here already. Magnifying Glass, I wish I could take the shortcut because I really honestly think 2 is the correct number to run in Ursula, but we really do need both hand slots full. We really want to make sure that we can get something to help with int early on. Milan we're hoping for, Magnifying Glasses we're hoping for. We're going to take the other Magnifying Glass.
All right.
All right, so this is where we're really excited to take this. Archaic Glyphs Untranslated. Grizzly Totem is a really cool include. I've actually been kind of high on it recently, again because of Team Covenant. But Archaic Glyphs, super strong when you get the Guiding Stones version. The other ones actually are pretty cool too. Might be worth a consideration, but hand slot for now transfers into a arcane slot later. So even just getting one of these is fine for now. It's a pretty strong card, and it'll lend itself it'll lend us some strength later on when investigating.
You have to discard 5 cards to do that?
Let's see. Discard it with at least 1 in skill icon from your hand to place a resource on it. You need 3.
Okay. I mean, you got a bunch, so.
Yeah, so we're happy taking that here. Oh! Yes!
Shoot analysis?
Okay, no, absolutely not. We're going to go for the second Milan Christopher here. I'm actually glad that we picked up the glyphs here because the art student is kind of fodder for it now. We can kind of just switch it out for like a Pathfinder when we need it, and the Rook can also just get translated into a Pathfinder now that we have 2 Milans. Very happy to see this here. This is really, really good for the core of our deck. So this is a tough choice between not so great cards. So Ghastly Revelation, like I said, is kind of a clutch card that can come in handy in like a 2% case. It'll probably be switched out for something later. No Stone Unturned is okay. Research Librarian is okay if you're looking for, like, if you've got a Dream Diary or something, it kind of serves as an extra one. Although we already have a lot of allies in our deck, and this isn't necessarily a really relevant symbol. Unearth the Ancients, I've always wanted to try in Ursula, especially having Crystallizer, just because of the fact that you could, like, get a, I don't know, Dr. Milan out if you have, like, a perception to commit to it or something. You can throw a Dr. Milan. Even though you don't get a draw card, you can actually do this as her Investigate action on her card, kind of, so you can get him out fast, potentially. I don't know whether or not he would trigger at the end of the successful investigation, but I like it with the Crystallizer. Ghastly Revelation, I could see a case for too, and No Stone Unturned. but I want to try the Unearth the Ancients. I think a 1 of is okay. I can always just pitch it to the Archaic Glyphs too. Let's see. So how far are we here? We're at 21 out of 30. We got 9 cards left. We're doing all right. We're staying above the water. I'm hoping for another one of the crystallizers. I'm hoping for some Hawkeye folding cameras. Even just one would be happy. I'd be happy with. Mostly another deduction and some more int symbols would be good. However, we didn't get those this time. We got a Curiosity, which is okay. But a lot of the time when I'm running Ursula, I'm running super fast because I'm pitching stuff like Shortcut. I'm pitching like really like fast things. I'm not really keeping a lot in my hand. Although the No Stone Unturned and the Preposterous Sketches might help with that. Curiosity isn't really a high priority pick for me, although Manual Dexterity is kind of fantastic. In a pinch, it'll help us draw a card. It will help us evade somebody. I really like taking a Manual Dexterity here, especially for evading like swarms and things.
You got one?
Yeah. Perfect. Hey, we got the second Archaic Glyphs, so we can pitch one Archaic Glyphs to the other Archaic Glyphs. This is great. I would consider the Practice Makes Perfect here if we didn't already go for the Archaic Glyphs and if we had more practiced. But as it is now, we've only got one practiced, so we're not looking like too hot on the Practice Makes Perfect. Although again, I love it with Crystallizer. So we're gonna go with the second Archaic Glyphs. Yes. Okay. We've got we've got our first working hunch. I'm hoping that we pick up 2 of these and another shortcut. I'm also, one thing that we haven't picked up is the Trailblazer card. I forget what it's called, but every time you move to a new location, if there's a clue on it, you can exhaust it, and then you get +2 to the first skill test, which is an Investigate always with Ursula. We haven't seen one of those yet, and I'm kind of sad about that, because that's a really good card in Ursula, and we've only got 7 cards left. However, I am excited to see the working hunch, so we're going to take that here. Well, these I'm not too high on. Again, our accessory slot is taken up by Crystallizer, although I could, I guess, consider maybe a Tooth of Edsley here, because we've only got one Crystallizer, and banking on one might not be a great idea. We don't have many things in our hands, so Chthonian Stone could be okay. Dream Diary, however, so it's another one of the cards that we have, it's untranslated, so we would have to do the little test here for it, but could come in handy later. I know that we're already going for the glyphs. I don't know how realistic doing both a Dream Diary and glyphs are in the Dream Eaters, because we're only running 4 scenarios. So this is a tough pick here. I think for reliability purposes, you might go for the Tooth of Edsley. Chthonian Stone can seal some really horrifying things. I know that in some of the scenarios, you might have like a 1 of bad token, like a tablet or something that makes you do horrible things. So it could be worth a consideration, but I like the cheaper aspect of a Dream Diary, and we don't necessarily, even if it's in our deck, we don't have to do it. We can always switch it out for something else, because we're going to have to spend some experience modifying things. We might not have enough for the Dream Diary, though. It's a tough pick. I'm either going for the Tooth or the Dream Diary here. I think we'll go for the Tooth, just kind of for the upside for the Tooth. Because Dream Diary, I just can't see doing both Archaic Glyphs, switching around the deck a little bit for spending experience to make it better, and also doing the Dream Diary.
It was field work.
Oh, it feels so bad. Oh, yes. It is fieldwork. Thank you. Okay, so these are 3 huge picks.
No.
Fingerprint Kit, a second Crystallizer. This kind of feels bad to... That's kind of a whiff. I definitely want the second Crystallizer for the consistency.
The Strange Illusion, so nice.
I know. So strange. So Meltaroni, if anybody who's ever watched the podcast hasn't known prior, is an absolutely stupid card. Never should have... the Acidic Ichor never should have happened, at least how it did happen. But just for suspense, and because I think that Zoe is such a fantastic guardian, and Harrison is going to be so great at defending me, I'm not going to go for it here, because we're already going hard in the Archaic Glyphs, and we might want some more support with shifting around our cards.
No, I wish you took the Thermos.
Famous last words. But so it's between Fingerprint Kit and Crystallizer of Dreams. Fingerprint Kit is really, really good. but I'm really high on getting another Crystallizer of Dreams to make sure that we don't have to switch out from that later. More economy here. Another plan for some defense. Because I didn't take the card that would inevitably be a ridiculously powerful Melteroni card, I might take this. We're a little low on economy, which isn't great. So the emergency cash could be a consideration. Although the plan here, the second plan is good. Early on, we can pitch it to the Archaic Glyphs if nothing arises, but I think that it's a really solid pick here, just because of the fact that we're not going to have other defensive cards to use. We got a field work! Yay! So Mind Over Matter is kind of an interesting, just a mention, because normally a Seeker might need it. Somebody like Mandy or somebody like Min, who have really bad like a defensive stat in terms of dealing with enemies. But Ursula's got that covered. She's got a 4 there. It could be cool with Crystallizer, I guess, but Fieldwork is absolutely the pick here. This is like, this Shortcut and Working Hunch are like my favorite cards to take for Ursula. So we're going to go for Fieldwork. So we're coming up with the last 2 cards. Sweating because we don't have any Hawkeyes. Sweating because we don't have another Shortcut or Working a Hunch. The logical reasoning here is definitely the pick here. Just because it's so reliable. It can double as a Guts if you need it. And it just heals horror in the case Zoe needs it because she has a low sanity threshold. Mr. Rook looking at me sadly because we never committed for him. So we're going to go for that. So last pick here, all of these cards aren't great. Knowledge is power. If we had like a tome to use, like Dream Diary or something might have been cool. We don't. So we're going to go for the Unexpected Courage to finish up the list.
Okay.
So we've got a pile here of cards. We've got 1 too many accessories. We've got 2 too many allies. We've got 1 too few field work. Again, the experience will be going towards remedying that. But for now, I'm actually not that sad about this list. I'm pretty excited to use the Crystallizers and the Milans and the Magnifying Glasses, the Archaic Glyphs. The one thing I'm super sad about is not having Hawkeye folding cameras. That's like my favorite card in solo or duo. It's so fantastic once you get it up and running. But if you don't see 1 or 2, I'm not going to worry about it this run. So we're going to be happy with this. Harrison, I think, built the deck. Anything that we didn't set aside here, he's got written down for when we switch over to actually play. And let's go and switch over. So do you want me to save this screen?
Yeah, maybe take a picture.
Okay. I don't have access to a keyboard.
Oh, you know
so
what I could do?
I'm just gonna
I
open
could take a
this.
picture of this.
Bam. Okay, so I saved this in this other tab. I'm going to take a quick picture so that everything isn't horrible. In the case that we need it. Okay. Now, we're going to switch over to Zoe's draft.
Zoe.
So I'll take this. If you want to switch over to here.
Okay.
And I'll pull her cards out as we draft.
So we're going to be doing draft in stages.
Yeah.
So we will select from 10. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's how much ever you want. If you wanted to do 10 first and then, like 8 second or, and then 5 in the last one or something, just so that you can get back down to a normal size. Include cards with limited deck slots, yes.
Sounds good.
Looks good to me.
All right. Roland.
No, that's Roland. Just kidding. Also, you need to set the...
taboo?
Yeah, the taboo to 927.
Okay.
And then Roland Banks goes to Zoe. Perfect.
Right. 10. 8. 10, 8, 5. All right.
Woo! All right, we're off to a start.
So,
So out of 10 cards...
let's see. So we even have some gold cards in there. So I think that,
I think I'm always kind of thematic when I go with it. So, you know, Zoe can be punching around as much as she can. I don't see any nice weapons at first. Tetsuo Mori's good for if I need a weapon, but I kind of like let God sort them out, just for the thematic.
We've got Bruce in chat, completely supporting this pick.
All right,
much
Bruce.
to Dan's chagrin.
I'm doing that for you, Bruce. All right.
All right, we're gonna find that over here.
So that was. I'm just gonna kind of track however many of the Dunwich
That's not
5
this
I'm
binder.
taking off.
Yeah, it's not in this binder.
Yeah. So
We'll worry about it later.
we do have weapons. Knuckle Duster's pretty awful, and I don't want to use one of my 5 for it.
Woo!
It's a little bit more difficult for me. Zoe's has a 4-wheel, so I don't think that we need to pump that skill. Let's see. I kind of think that amongst all of this, either she doesn't have the horror really to give up to take all that damage. I kind of think that the mirror is going to be good. We don't really have very much damage heal. And Ursula has a whole bunch of allies that we can heal up, and could help with the search. So I'm just going to grab that Hollowed Mirror.
Hollowed Mirror is a good pick.
Okay, so I could get Milan out before you.
Oh no!
Let's go. Let's see. So this is the first relatively good weapon, but
It's getting an upgrade soon.
yeah.
In Return to Forgotten Age.
Double
Don't do it! Don't do it!
Bruce, I'm sorry. I'm just because I haven't run into a weapon yet. I think I'm gonna have to go with Survival Knife and see how that goes. We're playing with Taboo. Otherwise, I'd be holding out for a machete. But especially since we're doing Dreamlands, there might be some enemies left over during the enemy phase.
That is a
so
good
just
point.
Smack them. All right, so I'm gonna take the Survival Knife. Let's see. So Zoe does actually have a pretty good will to do some spells, but I'm not sure.
Give him some of that mind magic.
Maybe if we ran into what do you call it? Magic punch.
Yeah, Storm of
of
Spirits. Yeah, Storm of Spirits.
But let's see.
Storm of Spirits would be great, just doubling as a like a dynamite almost for Zoe.
So does this actually, once I do get my 5, will this know and then stop suggesting the?
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right.
So whatever you pick here, I mean, these are mostly other class cards. Whatever you pick here is going to go towards that. Again, so Ursula's going to be doing the seeking. Zoe's going to be doing the fighting. Things like able body or improvised weapon might not be bad here, just because they're fight things. You might just consider getting them out of the deck at some later point anyways. Live and Learn could be a reasonable pick, just because you might fail something that you were really hoping that you'd hit, land on a really big enemy or a swarm or something like that. You might be able to take that here. This is the kind of pick that would happen only in draft, by the way, which is why I've really taken to loving draft, because you just don't get the options from just building a huge deck by yourself.
I think that there actually might be opportunities where, especially with Ursula running around, you might start the turn with an enemy on you. So like Live and Learn can help me not like stab you in the face with the Survival Knife. So just things like that. So I'm gonna see how that works.
Sounds good.
Kind of. And then speaking of not stabbing you in the face, I could grab a black.
Please no.
I mean, I really think that Vicious Blow sticks out immediately for me, just because it's a good skill to help with attacking, and especially with a bunch of the swarm enemies that could help out a lot. I'm just gonna give each of these other ones a look, but I'm gonna
resist pulling out it immediately.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Vicious Blow. So Solemn Vow could be pretty neat. Zoe does have 9s and 6s, but I don't have anything like that's super healing. Like if I ran into maybe Pete Sylvester later, that could be nice. But I think we can take care of ourselves for now. I don't have an ally Do you think that taking a trusted could be good?
I don't think we have an ally yet.
Yeah.
Something like Scene of the Crime could be okay because it's just a solid like get 2 clues from somewhere might help out at some point. Solemn Vow at a very very base level is just a guts that can't draw you a card, which isn't it still's not bad.
I mean, it's free, it's fast, and it kind of helps you out. So I think I'm gonna grab that.
Sure.
All right, so we're still in stage 1.
No, why does he get the Hawkeye folding camera?
I could get what is that, leadership? Could I grab the Hawkeye folding camera and then hand it over to you or something like that?
Oh, teamwork.
I got fingerprint kit too. Teamwork.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of the cards that I think you wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see.
Well, there is an emergency cache. It's not the worst. We're on pick 6, so you've got 4 more picks before we go to 8. So you still have some time to wait on the Dunwich 5 if you wanted. What else are you thinking?
I mean, if it bleeds, it might be good just because Zoe has a 6 in horror.
I do have 2 logical reasonings though, and you have a Hallowed Mirror.
Okay, yeah. So maybe we'll go for the emergency cache just to afford things. I don't think that we have anything too expensive yet, but
Zoe might not even need that though. Is the thing.
Well, what do I do?
I guess emergency cache might be the best thing early on.
And it'll be something that would be good to cut.
Yeah, eventually. Or if you get like guns or something, you might be able to like upgrade it to level 3, and then you can dump more ammo on Adventure or something like that if you find one of those guys.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna take that. Prophecy looks kind of interesting just because it's like it doesn't have to. It's not using any of my skills, but I hate playing with Doom. Okay, let's see. Oh.
He's getting all these Ursula cards. Like, what the heck?
Let's see. So I really wish I ran into more weapons. Right now I only have a survival knife, which is really annoying.
Oh, jeez.
But one thing about Zoe is that Zoe has 6, so you're gonna. I'm thinking
sanity.
I'm thinking of desperate cards. But
Yeah,
I don't.
You probably would get there at some point, but
Yeah, this is tough just because there's nothing that really sticks out for me.
So Ben ran a solo Zoe, and his demise was just never having enough agility to like dodge things or make those kinds of tests. Mists could be a fine thing for you. There are the corrupted orderlies in the beginning, which like you just can't deal with, so you have to dodge them. Maybe I'm not there to help you deal with them, so maybe a Mists could come in clutch that you could just swap out for something else later. Alternatively, Defiance might be okay as like just a symbol that might go above and beyond sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I like smacking things, but I might not be able to pull all of it off. So why don't we see how that works out? I mean, my will's not terrible. It's 4, so let's check that out. Okay, so we're on 8.
Hey, there's a friendly face.
We do have. I do. Taunt's funny because it'll help work with Zoe's.
That's actually a good point. So Taunt is actually better on Zoe than it is most investigators because she gets the benefit of like gaining a bunch of money. If you're upgrading into Flamethrower, it's almost like a necessity. Beat Cop is extremely good, however.
Yeah.
And the other one that's down on the bottom there, Prepared for the Worst, is actually super good.
To help me get my one survival knife.
So hopefully we'll drag ourselves out once we get the Dunwich 5 away. We'll be able to actually focus on like the core of the deck, which is fighting. But honestly, Beat Cop
I think I'm gonna go for the Beat Cop.
He's just super good. He's just so good for you. That's not the weapon we want to see.
No. Let's see.
You got some cards though. Oh, first watch.
First watch is interesting because then it could put an enemy on me and then let you run off doing, because you have so many of the defensive skills, right? Like, or so.
First watch is really cool because I think honestly, like in larger player counts, it's like almost better than a let me handle this, because it can just like, if you just happen to get like 3 enemies on top and nobody else wants them, you're just like, all right, well, I'll take them all, you know. So like it might be good for you in that regard, because you can just like grab all the bad things, or if there's like a really bad test, like an agility test, you can kind of give it to me. It gives you a little forewarning. Seeing the crime again is really good. Guts is always good, especially now that you have a spell.
Yeah, that's right. First watch, I could give them both to me if we run into it, and I can handle them. And I like playing it because I like to feel like the hero, so I'm just gonna do that.
Sure. So we got a first watch.
Let's see. Okay, so see, I kind of like Sixth Sense because it's pretty safe, like, quote unquote. It doesn't really, like, you know, you're not going to lose all your actions. Zoe does have a 4, which could help. You know, it's kind of the same thing. It's where Sixth Sense is something that looks good compared to everything else. I kind of want to use up this Dunwich 5 right now because, like, we're already at 10, and I want to start running into blue cards, so I don't know.
That's fair. We
do have calling in favors though, and you have a million allies. It could just, does that grow from your
No,
is that
it's
mine?
only that you control.
Oh, it's what's that? The red version. Chance Encounter.
Yeah, Chance Encounter is the one you're thinking of. No. What are the other ones down the bottom?
Can I afford small favors though? Maybe.
Yeah, you're Zoe, so it's between Sixth Sense and Small Favor.
I mean,
words I never thought I would be saying.
In this case, it does commit for 2 fists, so it's like an overpower.
That is true. That is true. It's pretty reasonable.
I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
Yeah, you need to do your job better than
yeah
you're currently doing it. All right, so there's one more Dunwich pick, right? Oh my God.
Sue Peter. I mean, I just think defensively Peter's good, because you know, I don't know how much horror that we're going to be running into. Spiders are pretty scary.
Yeah.
But especially with Solemn Vow, right? Did we grab a Solemn Vow?
You grabbed a Solemn Vow, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, but so potentially, I didn't even think about that. So with a Solemn Vow, and this is kind of going against the Peter point, but with a Solemn Vow, you can like turn on desperate skills if you want to. Mm-hmm. By taking enough horror from me, but you just don't really have a great way of like reliably healing it off of you. So,
I mean, if we do have to worry about horror, then Solemn Vow and just give it to Peter, poor kid, could be pretty good. I don't know.
You have a last chance there too. A leather coat isn't bad. You could take the. Oh, it's such a rough pick. Obviously, Joey the Rat and Henry Ron just aren't maybe not doing it.
I'm gonna go with Peter just because it's also a static boost as well.
Peter in the Zoe deck. Here we go. Where's my boy?
All right. So
hey,
now we're back
Yay.
to blue. So maybe we'll run into weapons or something. This is gonna be like the jankiest deck ever.
But, very excited.
So how do you think that Ursula's going to be doing on her own? Like, could Let Me Handle This be pretty good?
Let Me Handle This is always a really good pick.
Does that pull enemies?
Yeah.
I think
it's always really solid. Like, because I might just need to keep seeking, and you know, you might run into an enemy and take it from me. Which is really nice. And you get a buck for engaging an enemy. So.
I'm going to do that.
Pretty good. Hey, weapons! There we go.
Okay, so we have some gold weapons and gold weapons. So what does the upgraded Thompson do? It's awful, right?
It shoots money. Whenever you shoot a bullet, and maybe it has to hit, maybe it doesn't. I can't remember, but you get a money back from it.
Yeah.
So like it gives you your money back. It's between that and Enchanted Blade, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, if we were doing something like Circle, handcuffs could be a nice decision, but what about Enchanted Blade? The upgraded one.
The upgraded one actually does a lot for Zoe. It heals horror
Mm-hmm.
when you kill something, and it helps you draw cards too. It's kind of like a catch-all for things that she really wants.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Both of them are good.
I think I'll go for this just because if I have the Enchanted Blade, I can still have the Survival Knife out and like swing with this and then take care of anything that's left over.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that sounds
grab
good.
that. All right. So I don't know
I'll
if I
pick up.
have anything with supplies on it.
There's
Alright.
a card.
All right, so I was gonna give everything a look, but if you know anything about me, I like dynamite blasts. I don't know if I always get to use them, but
I promised him they'd be good in the Dream Eaters. For all of you who've taken it anywhere,
I'm gonna go ahead
Dream
and
Eaters is where it happens.
grab the dynamite blast. All right, so we're halfway there.
Hey,
And do we have one beat cup or did we?
we do. We
Okay.
do. You could scroll down to the bottom and you can see the deck.
All right, so we have beat cup, Peter Sylvester.
Star allies. You got a lot of good stuff here, man. You got Let Me Handle This. You got another beat cop. You got
I think I'm gonna take the other beat cup. I like having. I mean, especially if I think I'm gonna get another charisma or something. Just this. I mean, all these static boosts aren't ever bad, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
All right. Did I grab the taunt that time?
the last time. No, I don't believe so.
But there is
taunt. Yeah.
There is a vicious blow though.
Yeah.
I also, last time I played Zoe, I did like playing on the hunt, just because if like let's say I'm like limping along or something and I don't want to take any more horror, I could pull an enemy out. But
That's true.
vicious blow, especially since I don't have any overpowers yet, I'm gonna grab that.
A reasonable, rational pick.
Ooh, speaking of overpower, daring is just a better overpower to me, I think.
So that's what I've come to know. Daring also helps in evades too, in cases where you really, really need that. I've always just been really high on daring. Once it came out, it was like basically an include in every single one of my guardian decks.
So I also like trusted. I know that beat cops normally can't take damage in a horror, or damage to
murder things.
yeah. Since they just have to get discarded, but upgraded beat cops do, which will give them another. Is that right, or is that dogs? And no, I'm just gonna go for the daring.
Trusted is a cool include. Like if you're going into brother Xavier and
I like it
and,
on
like, Tetsuo and stuff like that.
On agency backup.
Yeah,
they're pretty good.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool thing.
Also, Unihelv's really fun, but in 2-player, I don't think that we can. I mean, it's going to be a really good idea to leave the other one high and dry. But I'm going to go with daring. All right, so
Good
we're at
skill
18. Let's see. I don't have any unexpected courages yet, right?
I don't believe so. No.
And then is this the Winchester, right? You don't. That's the one that has infinite ammo.
That's the headshot. Oh yeah, that's the one that, as printed, has infinite ammo. They've since errated, however.
Let's see. So we have unexpected courage, which is 2, but we'd also have daring, which is a
Another
cantrip. And it's also like for the skill that I'm going to be testing most likely. So I'm gonna go ahead and take another daring. So we're at 19. A gun.
A gun. A weapon of sorts.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Just to. So I mean, do you think that? Yeah, I mean, I only have like, what, 2? So do I only have 2 weapons out so far?
You can scroll down and check. You have a survival knife and you have an enchanted blade. So you definitely need more. Enchanted blade's always on earlier because it takes 2 slots technically.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take that gun.
Seems solid.
All right, so now we're on the level 5 stages. So
Okay. Hard mode engaged.
So the Colt doesn't give any extra damage. It just or no, it does deal extra damage, but it doesn't give any extra
Symbols. Yeah.
symbols.
So you got 3 weapons right now. You got a survival knife. You got this.
I think I'm gonna take the taunt because sometimes there might not be an opportunity for me to take the engage action.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know, and like best case scenario, you have a bunch of swarm enemies on you, and
That
I
is
get a
true.
whole bunch of money.
Sounds good to me. I'm always about not getting swarm enemies on me.
All right, so I could get another weapon, or I could get prepared for the worst to find the weapons I already have.
So you have how many weapons now? 3?
I have an automatic, a survival knife, an enchanted blade.
So you got 3 symbols, or three weapons rather. So I guess it's fine to take a prepared for the worst. You could also take the automatic. It's really whatever would be better for you at this point.
I think the automatic might be good because we have
More
4 ammos.
consistency.
It's just a good way to reload or something like that. So
Consistency.
maybe we'll, if we see another. Oh, we have Tetsuo who could help me find it if I kill him, right? But we already have a few allies as well.
Oh man, but you got another enchanted blade there.
I do like that
It's a good
enchanted
card.
blade.
Wait, where?
Let's
Over
see.
there.
So, what's the wording on the mists? Is that evade? Like
It is.
would
So
a trench coat?
It's an evade. No, it wouldn't help.
Okay.
It's an evade, but with will.
Oh, because you're using will.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for the enchanted blade. You know.
Sounds good. So now you got 5 weapons.
So then I think we're good.
Yeah.
We're not running into too many humanoids. But
There are some.
like lizard humanoid thingies.
Maybe.
You know, I think so. One of my things that I really like about like kind of quote unquote like bad cards or whatever is just that like they can get upgraded into better cards. And I think that I like Bandolier, upgraded Bandolier more than regular Bandolier. And I'm not using my body, correct?
No, I don't think so.
Um,
You will have the money to play it as Zoe in Dreamlands, like for sure.
Because then if I have multiple weapons out, it'll be a good. I mean, it'll get me more will.
You also have the survival knife, which is kind of a reason to play it, because then you can have a gun, a sword, and your survival knife. If for some reason an enemy slips by.
Yeah. Do you think I'm gonna regret not taking very much healing other than the? I'm gonna take the
No.
bandolier.
Well, you've got 2 enchanted blades, and when
Yeah.
you kill things, you'll heal from them.
Okay. All right. So I mean, I've been focusing not on helping you with clues. And I think that's fine. Let's look at the automatic. That's. I would consider the Venturer, but I'm not Larry.
Bandolier.
What do I want? At this point, I might even just look at icons.
Where's the bandolier?
What would you take here?
I would consider the Venturer or the Interrogate. Like, the Interrogate has, like, relevant symbols. The Venturer is okay if you eventually get, like, a Charisma, so that you can use both Venturers and beat cops, refilling your guns.
Yeah.
But if you don't go for guns, it's not that great. Like, because you've got 2 enchanted blades, you might not be going super gun heavy.
Is that and
up
that's
to
not
you.
a supply? Yeah, I might try interrogate and like maybe look at that to cut because we do have humanoids in the spooky.
Yeah, you'll get
hospital,
safeguards.
so-
Some of these things will not end up in the
Yeah.
final deck anyway.
Ooh. So I'm. So this one I'm just gonna go ahead and pull prepared for the worst just because maybe all my weapons are.
Did you take the Venture?
I took the. What did I take? I took the interrogate.
Gotcha.
So I'm just going to.
Prepared for the worst.
Or
Is that what you're saying?
Or is Run for Your Life gonna be pretty good? Like I might, because it might be something that I hold in my hand for a while, and if I get suddenly engaged with something that's kind of scary, it's a good way.
It's either dead in your hand for like 80% of the
Yeah.
time, or on and really good for like like 10-15% of the time.
And I am kind of building so that Peter Sylvester can heal a lot
Yeah,
of that
that is
horror.
true.
So,
Oh yeah, I forgot you have Peter too.
so I think I'm
Even
gonna
for a little
just do
while.
the prepared for the worst.
Okay.
All right, so we
more gun
have
stuff.
like 3 more.
Hey,
Inspiring Presence is always a nice. I like that card.
it's cool with B-Cop for sure. Guts is always really good, especially because you've got
What about? Do you think I
Spell.
can afford physical training?
in this, yeah.
And what's the Is there a permanent version, not of this, but like a Kenai?
Yeah, Kenai is the permanent. Guardian
So
card.
I mean, if I feel like it, I might upgrade from there. But if I'm gonna get as much money as Dane says he's seen Zoe get in this scenario, maybe I'll figure out how to use it. So let's do that. All right.
Closing out last three cards.
I don't have very many feet. Mandex could be a good idea, I think.
You don't have a effect. Oh no, but you do have Darings though. Darings might.
I
Help
do have Darings.
If you absolutely. I
But
guess they don't help in feat tests, per se, is the
Hmm.
thing. So maybe one of those is okay.
What does self-sacrifice do? So if you commit, I mean, if you're doing a test,
Yeah.
then I can commit to it, and then I get the bad thing. You know.
You get the bad thing, but I get the cards or whatever.
Mm.
Whatever it is.
You know, I mean, none of these are super calling out to me, and you know, the whole reason for the draft is to do fun stuff that you normally wouldn't. So I'm gonna check out self-sacrifice.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Where is that?
So calling in favors could be kind of nice because it does kind of heal. I mean, it could heal B-Cops by switching them out, right? Like once I upgrade my B-Cops, can I like...
Oh, calling in favors? Yeah, so you could like bounce one back to your hand and then play a different one.
Yeah. I mean, I do have a survival knife, so a guard doggy.
The other one is smoking pipe. If you're as scared from horror as you know, you would be as Zoe, you could consider taking one of those.
Okay.
Either that or the calling in favors. It's kind of fine, but the symbols don't really help as much, I guess.
I'm gonna go for the smoking pipe. I don't know if you
Hey,
have
there's a welcome last pick.
so this is the last card.
Yes.
And most of these are actually really good. I know that I have 1 dynamite blast, but 2.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be something that...
I think that you'll either find them and murder things with them, or you'll find a use for it in like a will test somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's super good in this.
All right. So we're just going to be blowing up a bunch of hospitals and stuff. Let's check it
Hooray!
out. All right.
And there it is.
So there's a Zoe deck. We've got a let God sort them out. And hopefully I can take a bunch of enemies off of your hands. I was hoping to run into On the Hunt or something again, to maybe get more. But
Yeah.
hopefully I'll be able to get to the 6.
This is the whole reason. Let God sort them out, because Dynamite Blast will let you get there.
All right.
You'll be able to you'll be like, wait, Ursula, don't leave that area. You got to dodge them, and then you got to take 3 damage or something. So
Were there any cards that? So let's take a picture of this or something, or save this.
I'll take a picture of this.
Is there any cards that you didn't run into?
Some of the let God sort them out. Some of the like the Mists of Rulia wasn't in this binder. Everything else I'm pretty sure we got.
Yeah, I need the
Interrogate,
blues.
First Watch. Oh, First
Did
Watch?
you get Live and Learn?
I did. It's right here.
Okay.
Oh, Small Favor is the other one.
Oh yeah. So let's actually talk about the Dunwich 5 that we had. So we did get Live and Learn, which could be good for failing tests,
It's
or
kind of a fine card.
Small Favor.
Could help me out
Could
a
deal
bunch.
with enemies far away or something like that, or...
Yeah, you've got a good suite of stuff to deal with enemies. Oh, the other thing is the 2 Enchanted Blades.
Enchanted
They went
Blades.
in this
Oh wait.
binder.
Oh okay. But those aren't part of the Do they count as the 5? I forget how that ruling worked.
No, they're not. They're not. They don't count as the 5. It's just I didn't.
We got Peter. Did you get Peter?
I did. He's right
Okay.
here.
All right. How do you think we did? Nitrous Acrostic, sorry, asked, what's the Dunwich 5? So the investigators that came out in the Dunwich Legacy scenario, they all have a deck building requirement that's the same all over. They have their base class. So Zoe is a Guardian, so level 0 through 5. Neutral 0 to 5, and then up to 5 level 0 cards from any other class. So that'll allow the investigators to splash cards that other investigators might not. So be able to have some of the other investigators in that campaign do pretty well with it. I know that Jenny Barnes does a good job with that, but.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a more flexibility, versus an off class kind of thing. But yeah, we'll see how we did. But so we're going to finish building these decks. There were a few cards that I needed to hunt for the Ursula deck, and then Dane's just finishing out the Zoe deck, and we'll pause the stream for a little bit. Hey, I played Jenny. She's just no good next to Preston. Preston makes her look like a peasant.
So we played a playthrough of, I think it was Return to Dunwich, as Jenny and Preston just like blew her out of the water in terms of having enough money. But I honestly think that it was only because Jenny allowed me to get all the really good allies. So I got like Lola Santiago, I got Leo, mostly because like he can't really function as well without Leo. But she can hold her own. I don't have an issue